Hey, boys and girls, now we're going to read Long Night Moon. We're going to listen for those sensory details and the way that she describes things in the story during this nighttime story so that we can see how these two books are the same and how they're different, because they're both about nighttime, they're both about the countryside, and we want to think about how does she write about these two books or about this one topic in two different ways. So, listening for sensory details, listening for description, and thinking about how she takes one topic and writes about it in two different ways. Here we go. Long Night Moon. Long ago, Native Americans gave names to the full moons they watched throughout the year. Each month had a moon, and each moon had its name. In January, the stormy moon shines in mist, in ice, on a wild wolf's back. Find it and find your way home. So do we see sensory details on this page? We can see the moon shining off the wolf's fur. We can see the glistening of the ice in the mist. In February, a snow moon glows white, sharp, in a cool, crackling breath. It will miss its sister, the sun. So on this page, we see the color and the glowing. When she says sharp, not sharp like a knife, but sharp like crisp around the edges. Not hazy. It's very clear. You can kind of see the breath, like over here with the deer. You can feel that cool, crackling breath. So that's like a feeling. The crackling would be a sound. You can almost hear the breath. In March, a sap moon rises over melting ponds, sleepy bears, and small green trees. It tells a promise and a hope. So on this page, lots of adjectives. What kind of ponds? They're melting, it's warming up. What kind of bears? They're sleepy because they're coming out of hibernation. What kind of trees? They're small and green because they've just started growing. In April, the sprouting grass moon brings all wanderers back home. Baby birds love this moon. It lights their tiny heads. So all the wanderers coming back home, that's the birds coming back from the south. And the baby birds are the new babies that have been born, because springtime is when our baby animals are mostly born. In May, a flower moon blooms wide open, bright, happy to be here. It is a smiling moon. It is a song. So in this part, I imagine the song would be the song of summer. You've got all those nighttime animals chirping, and you've got those little, it looks like almost some little fireflies. You've got those, the bright blooms wide open. It's kind of a reference to all the flowers that would be blooming in May. And all the sunlight, because the days are getting longer. In June, the strawberry moon shimmers on succulent buds, on crisp new shoots, on quiet, grateful rabbits. There is in the dark, a moonlight meal. I like the idea of having a moonlight meal, sitting outside under the full moon, having your picnic instead of during the daytime. Wouldn't that be interesting to flip it and have your picnic at night? Also, all these adjectives. Succulent means that it's juicy. All these little buds, all these little flowers like on our strawberry plants are turning, the fruit part comes after the flower. And so all these little buds are all juicy and, full of, full of their life. And the shoots are like those little plants coming up, when you've planted your seed, the little shoots come up right after, like, and they're crisp and new. They're like really crunchy. And then the rabbits are quiet and grateful because they have so much to eat. You think about, in the wintertime, it's so hard for animals to find foods to eat because everything's kind of dormant. And now everything is, it's like a buffet, like a nighttime buffet. In July, the thunder moon trembles, shudders, and disappears in a thick black sky. It listens to the clouds beat their drums. I had to add some sound effect in there. So if you think about a thunderstorm, think about the sounds that you hear, and then you see the clouds are covering up that moon. In August, a harvest moon grows round and full, like a big, ripe melon, blessing the calm fields of hay. So this is the end of the growing season. And so all of our wheat, all our hay is thick, ready to be cut. And our melons have gone from little shoots and little succulent buds, and now they're big and full and ripe, just like the moon. In September, a coon moon watches for shining eyes and busy feet and little brown noses in the air. It loves the small night creatures. It shows them a better path. Can you see the little raccoons sniffing around? And they do have such busy feet. I like the idea of the moon lighting your way, that the night is not so dark when we have our full moon. In October, the acorn moon comes strong, yellow, the biggest moon of the year. Leaves are falling and birds are flying. This moon says goodbye. So this is the opposite of the moon that was welcoming back the wanderers. This moon is saying goodbye to the birds flying south and all of the animals that are getting ready to hibernate. But it's strong and yellow and it's big. I like how they put so much detail. You can almost see that crater. There's that crater on the moon. In November, a frosty moon holds a hard ground, empty trees, the wind in lonely places. It shivers with the shining stars. It thinks it might just sleep. This is the sleepy moon, frosty. Everything's cold and hard and bare and shivery. I feel cold and sleepy when I read this page. Like I just want to snuggle down in some warm blankets. And in December, the long night moon waits and waits and waits for morning. This is the faithful moon. And so on this page, remember in December, that's where we have the longest night of the year. In June, we have the shortest night of the year. And in December, we have the longest night of the year. And so I like how she describes the moon as faithful. We can count on it each month to do the same thing over and over. Those moon phases that we learned about last week, they're going to happen each month all the same way. And those Native Americans even thought about how these moons from month to month are different, but they're always there. They're always constant. This one is your friend. So that December moon is your friend, lighting up the night so that you don't get scared and you don't feel lonely. So let's think about, we read all kinds of sensory details, some sounds and some sights as we read this book today. I'm going to pause the video and we're going to think about how these books might be the same and how they're different today.